Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Board States Pod. I am your host, the reclusive Reggie, with my duo, Just Leave Me Alone Jazz, because our main topic today, we will take up to our respective fortresses of solitude for some self-care solitaire. We are talking about solo gaming, okay? We will follow that with our En La Mesa segment, as we always do, talk about some games that have hit our table recently, first impressions. I'll be talking about triangulation, and Jazz will be talking about two small box games, one called Panda Panda and one called Mountain Goats, okay? But before all of that, as per usual, we're going back to doing our state of mind. And today I have a very quick typical trivia here. We're calling it AutomaRama, okay? AutomaRama.
Okay.
And it's just multiple choice. I kept it really simple here. We're going to give you multiple choice today. 3 questions for that. And our victory points, I do want to just shout out to my lovely mama over there. My mom and dad, both my parents are in Puerto Rico. First time she's gone back since she was a child. And she sent me some screenshots of the different menus that she's seen, and the first day they were there, they're hot. They had agua de coco, okay, which is just coconut water, which I don't love. I don't love the texture of it. It's very viscous, but it is really hot here. It's hot in Europe. It's hot all over the world right now, and we needed something hydrating here, okay? So we have one of the most, so many electrolytes in coconut water. It can literally save your life. Are you a fan of agua de coco? Are you ready to play for that? You got...
I am. I do. My wife loves it a lot more than I do.
Oh, okay, exactly.
But again, it's one of those things that it has its benefits for you, right? It's not only the hydration portion, but it's it's like good for heart health and gut and all that other things. But yeah.
I know. I probably should drink more of it for that reason. You can also put it in cocktails too. I love it in a little pina colada. So you're going for some a nice bottle of agua de coco. You have 3 options. Let's get right into it, my friend.
Let's do it.
All right, so what I wanted to do was just, I wanted to look up all the different crazy names for them, but some of them started to get way out there. So I just have 3 trivia questions based on solo opponents here.
Okay.
And I know you're not a big solo game guy, so I wonder if I'll stump you here, but I think you could go 3 for 3 here. You could go 3 for 3.
All right. You say that a lot of times, Reg, but the listeners on the other end are Jazz is going 0 for 3.
All right, here we go. Which game was the first to officially use the term automa? Okay. Is it A, Tapestry, B, Gaia Project, C, Viticulture, or D, Scythe?
Okay. I know it's a Stonemaier game, and that's how I know, but we're going with Viticulture, the first Stonemaier game there, because it's the smartest answer, and it's the one that I love as well.
Is that your final answer?
Of course, it's my final answer.
You are correct. Automa is the Italian word for robot, and that is where it came from because viticulture is set in Tuscany. So there you go. Great job. Wow, you're off to a good start. You have earned yourself a bottle of agua de coco.
Nice. Let's
hydrated,
go.
my friend. Okay, a little bit tougher here.
Okay.
Which of these games uses the solo opponent known as Contrarius? Okay, we're headed to ancient Rome. Contrarius. Is it A, Concordia Solitaria, B, Hadrian's Wall, C, Foundations of Rome, or D, Hoplomachus Victorum?
Give me the name of that solo opponent again.
It is Contrarius. So A, Concordia Solitaria, B, Hadrian's Wall, C, Foundations of Rome, D, Hoplomachus Victorum.
Okay, I wouldn't go with Hoplomachus Victorum because the game is solo in and of itself already. And I've played it too. To be honest, I think you're trying to stump me on this one. I'm gonna go with Concordia, the Solitaria one. Yes, that's gonna be my
final answer.
Yes, and I haven't played it though, but that's gonna be my choice.
The answer is A, Concordia Solitaria.
Yeah, let's
Good
do
job.
it. Let's do it.
2 for 2. Yeah, I remember Candace I can't think of her last name right now. Candace, she you know her, you
Yeah,
love
yeah.
her, over at Kicking It Creative. She told me about this game and she told me about the solo mode. I was like, wow, I would love to play the solo mode. So yep, it is Contrarious. Awesome. All right, here's the tough one. This is actually, though, she's kind of an infamous solo opponent. Which garden-themed game has a pesky Farmer Edith as the solo opponent? Farmer, you know this immediately? Wow.
Yes.
A, Verdant, B, Three Sisters, C, Harvest, or D, Grove?
It is Three Sisters.
It is Three Sisters. You knew that right away. Yeah, people hate Farmer Edith. Her whole job is to screw you over.
She's cruel, man.
Hey,
She's cruel.
I told you you'd get it. See, we kept it really nice and short for you here. I've got our next episode. We may be having another guest on the pod, and I have a really exciting one. So I wanted to keep it nice and light for you. Wow, 3, 4, 3.
Let's go. Look at that.
Good job, Jazz, there. Okay, let's get in it. So we're going to talk about our main topic is solo gaming here. And I think, it has a stigma. It also is trendy right now. There's a lot to talk about. And I want to just start back just from growing up. I played a little bit of solitaire. I played... Sudoku. I loved Sudoku and crossword searches. I also, I played a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! I played a little bit of chess, and sometimes I didn't have an opponent. And sometimes I would literally go back and forth just to practice and learn. But I always felt kind of, ashamed of that. I thought that playing by yourself was just lame. That was my thought. And so I kind of want to go into it, though. I have completely turned tables, by the way, so we'll go there soon. But what is your, perspective on solo gaming, maybe even your journey from where you started, what were your thoughts, and where are you now when it comes to just solo gaming?
Yeah, my journey's kind of has its ebbs and flows, but when I first got into the hobby, again, board gaming for me was all about the collective group at the table, or the collective the social aspect of it. I think we briefly talked about in the very beginning of our first pod that for me, gaming was about party games, a night of a night of categories and taboo stemmed into me jumping down the rabbit hole of finding Board Game Geek and then searching and coming across Dice Tower videos about the top board games out there. And I just started writing lists of games that sounded interesting to me that I thought other people would play. Solo started getting to the point of once I got immersed into the hobby, and I wouldn't even say it was pandemic, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic that changed anything, but I dibbled and dabbled with some solo games, but I don't buy games specifically because it has a solo mode. I don't purchase a game because it's solo only. Honestly, for me, if a game's solo only, sometimes it's a turn off, right? And sometimes it's one of those things where I've got to really play it to figure out whether or not this is something I'm even going to table. And there's a lot of games in my current collection that I've added because it's I'll play this solo, and I still have not played it solo. It's just, for me, I enjoy the social aspect of gaming, being at the table, even if it's they say this is multiplayer solitaire. Why you love multiplayer solitaire games? Why don't you play solo? It's just, for me, it's the people around the table.
That's an interesting argument, because some people will say that it's why not just play it? Why even play a game if you're just playing, if you're putting your head down? But it's I like the experience, even if we're doing a puzzle parallel. Correct. I'm okay with that. I enjoy. Obviously, I like interactive games too.
Yeah, I enjoy that interaction at the table. I enjoy the conversation of, oh, you did this, I could have done that. Just sometimes it's just learning from other gamers, their take on their turn order, their turn structure, why they made this decision, and instead of going that route, and having those conversations after the game is something that I enjoy, especially at my game nights. And I'm oh man, if I wish I could have done this or that. And your buddy, I know Dave or my buddy Mike will be yeah, I really thought you were going to take this move instead of going that route. What made it? And sometimes it's you have a blunder at the table, right? Or sometimes it's I did, but I was trying to do X, Y, Z. When I'm playing solo, I don't have that conversation. Sometimes it's I walk away from the table dejected that I did so poorly that I just want to box everything up and not even give it another shot. I've had those moments as well. So I don't know. Everyone's a little bit different. You talked about Three Sisters briefly, and I know I'm taking up a little bit, but I took that game when I got it, and I took it with me to a car seat convention. I do car seat instruction here in the state of New Jersey, but I was in Chicago specifically for a car seat convention, and I took that game with me, and I'm sitting in the hotel of the Marriott, and I'm just downstairs just playing Three Sisters, and I got bashed by Edith a lot, and I just continuously played it over and over because I'm with a group of coworkers. They were not interested in gaming at all, so I forced myself to play it solo, and I think that's probably I would say was the pivotal moment for me, probably in trying to explore game solo, being forced into a situation of solo gaming.
Yeah. And I'll talk about that in one moment. I do want to just shout out a very funny moment that happened on a podcast. I don't even remember which podcast. I think it was the Board Game Geek podcast. And you're going to fall in line with this a little bit. Alan R. Moon, the designer of Ticket to Ride, has never actually designed a solo game. And he said, I just don't get solo games. He's like, to me, if you play solo games, you need to get some friends. He said that on a podcast. And then he actually went on our family plays board games. And I asked, they did like an AMA, like Ask Me Anything. And I said, hey, have you gotten any flack for that comment you made a couple months ago? And he actually he's like, I did. And I want to apologize to the solo board gaming community. But this is the thing. Like, I don't yuck anybody's yum. Correct. If you're absolutely sitting here and saying, I only want to play games because I play with other people, I have other things I can do solo, which I'll talk about in a second, there's nothing wrong with that. I totally get that. And if you are only a solo gamer, there's a lot of people who are like pretty much dedicated solo gamers. Yeah. That's also fine too. I am an omni gamer. I like it all. Here's the big things for me. Why would I play alone? I got into board games. I dove deep, very, very obsessed. And I never, ever wanted to play solo. Like I really but I get to a point where you are forcing it on other players. And we've talked about this, your friends and family.
100%.
And I get to a point where it's like, I want to play more often than the people around me do. And when I discovered a couple games, I'll highlight them later. When I discovered a couple games where I really enjoy the solo aspect of it, then it started taking off for me as like, I don't need other people. And so I have actually gotten to a point where if a game has a solo mode, it is more enticing to me. Solo only games are a little tough. I mentioned it last episode. I think I'm going to back Rolling Deep. And I also think I'm going to back Jason and the Argonauts. Those are two solo only games because I want to have some dedicated solo only games. I think solo games have come a long, long, long way. I think when I first started in the hobby, there probably were some great ones out there. It was 2020. There were. But I think a lot of it was just like a cooperative game that you brought to your solo is just not that much. The two things that are other reasons why. Number one is learning a game. I think having a solo mode, especially for a heavier game, instead of just pulling it, I know some people who pull it out and just play two-handed a game to learn it. I just can't do it. I don't know why. It just doesn't do it for me. And I think you've done that, haven't you? Yeah, you do. Yeah, it's a great way to learn.
We'll talk about that a little bit later, but yeah.
Yeah. But for me, it's like if a game has a dedicated solo mode, I can just sit down, play a full game of the game while checking the rulebook as much as I want, taking as much time as I want to do the puzzle, and then I have a better understanding. And again, my wife, the queen, her biggest pet peeve, if we did a pet peeves episode, maybe we should do that too, is if I don't know the rules completely. Like she does not ever want to interrupt the game by going in the rule book. And so like if I play the game once, I know it. That's the problem is a lot of times if I've just read a rule book and watched the video, I might have to check the rule book a few times on a first play. Yeah. Whereas if I do that when I'm playing solo, then I eliminate that in the future. I'm looking at you. Do you feel like you've had a similar experience with that?
Yeah, I have those moments. For me, I play a lot of games two-handed, and I just sometimes I prefer them, right? To play, even if it has a solo mode. It's just for me the idea of thinking differently, because when I sit down at the table, I really don't go into a game saying I want to win this game. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know how that is for other people. Like that's why I couldn't go to like the World Series of board gaming because I've never win. Even games that I'm really good at, I always want to try a different form of like trying to gain victory. Like I want to say, you're going to take that route, I'm going to do this. Or a lot of times, I remember when I was getting into the hobby, when I started playing heavier board games, I would sit there and listen to the rules. So I understand what people are getting when I'm trying to explain the rules to somebody. Like it was just like go in one ear and out the other. That's how it was. And I can briefly speak on sitting at a Capstone's game booth. And I forget what game I was specifically learning. I want to say it was Maracaibo, a Maracaibo heavy game. I wanted to. It just resonated with me wanting to learn this game, and I sat down at the table. It was early morning on a Saturday of PAX Unplugged or a Sunday of PAX Unplugged, and I was like, I didn't get much sleep the night before, and I was like, I didn't hear anything that they said. I just didn't. So when they start, all right, take your turn, I just followed the two people before me. Like,
I just did
what they did, or do something close to it. And I was like, but the thing was, when I play games, I like to sometimes see other people's strategies, and sometimes I like adopt. Oh, I see where they're going, and I'll start playing that in my turn. I can't do that when I solo game, so that's why I'll do two-handed, because I can take this strategy playing with my left hand, and then with my right hand I'll take this strategy. And for some reason, my brain allows me to like completely forget what I just did with the previous hand, and like especially
that's great.
Like, I don't know how. Like I'm like. And my other one, I'm like, Dad, what cards does the left hand have? Like, like I don't know. I call me weird. I just how I do it.
That's great. And to be very clear, sorry, I should never assume, like, we want to be a welcoming podcast. If you've never heard of two-handed, you'll see it on BGG. A lot of the cool kids will call it 2H. You know, if you're in small annotation here. Two-handed.
I'm not in that club because I call it two-handed.
Yeah. You are playing as both characters. You know, you play as one side. Like if you were playing Magic the Gathering, you would play a hand and then you'd put that hand down and pick up the other one and do it. And it's a great way to learn. People do it just legitimately playing, just to learn the mechanism or just to play a game. But also it is. There's also some cooperative games that you can play true solo, where you just play one character, or you split it up to two-handed, which I'll be talking about very soon.
Correct.
Okay, the last thing I was going to say about why play alone, and I think this is where it becomes, is like so many of my hobbies are digital. You know, besides reading, you know, I've got video games, I've got movies and television that I love with my wife. I've got my content creation space now too. You know, I'm on here like editing videos and recording and stuff. And even more things than that, but just like those are the big examples of what I like to do with my free time. And board games are still analog. They're still tactile. I put my phone down, you know, I get to just like stretch my brain in a way that is not passive. And I think that is what solo board games do, is I'm doing something active while engaging my brain. And there's some lighter versions of that and some heavier versions of that. And we'll touch on that. So by the way, there'll probably be some chapters down below. This category, we're talking about why play alone. We'll talk about the different versions of solo games and like the greater trend, a little bit of community. And towards the end of this topic, we're going to just highlight some games specifically that I think fit into all these categories. So my only other thing I want to say about this is video games are my first love in terms of gaming. And so video games have always been my go-to if I have free time by myself. And that is the toughest. I think they're my competitor, you know, and a lot of times I really waffle and I'll sit and be like, do I want to play a solo video game? Do I want to go get on my computer and play BGA? I could play solo board games on digitally too. Or do I want to sit down and set up a board game? So a lot of times it's tough. I'm not as committed to playing board games as other folks. I do think if I had a dedicated board game table that had the lid, you know, where you have the game sunk in and you can cover it up. Yeah. Oh, that would be so great to come back, like leave it open, especially for the bigger stuff. It would be really, really cool to do. So, okay, couple types, and I want to see, you can just rattle off some examples if you have any.
Yeah.
But the three, I think there's three categories here, and please add if you want, and email if you want, peopleboardstatespod@gmail.com. I think there are big, heavy puzzles, pretty much just big board games, either they're Euros or whatever, big puzzle games that take a lot of brain power, take a lot of setup. There are versus or there's like straight up campaigns. I don't know, like versus a campaign type game, dungeon crawler type game. Those are big in the space. The Vantages, the Earthborn Rangers, those open world games too. I'd put in this in this slot. Versus the small, chill puzzles. And there's a lot of these, people might call them cozy as well. I think the smaller, quick puzzles, the weeknight solos is what I spend the most of my time doing. But those are the three things. I think big, heavy puzzles, campaigns or open world, and small, chill puzzles. Is there like a category you think I'm not thinking of? Or do you feel like all your games kind of fit in those three?
No, I think they would kind of fit in that. You have your big heavy puzzles or big Euros, the campaign-esque, and then like there's the small, like I said, the small little puzzles. Games that sit down. You can, it's a quick session. You could do it over some coffee or whatnot. That's kind of how I would categorize them.
Do you think you have? I mean, when you do play, I mean, what are the ones? What's what you lean towards more?
To be honest, what I lean towards more is something that's just quick. Because again, I'm not a solo gamer per se, so therefore, I if I'm going to learn something, like if I'm even going to play something, I just want to scratch the itch, right? Because again, totally. I'm like you, I will go and go on BGA and play a couple games or see, hey, I'll send you a invite for a game or something like that, right? Yeah. But like video games was my go-to growing up. It really was. Yep. As I got older, a lot of things. Once I had kids, like video games is non-existent in my life, and I love video games. Like I do.
Of course.
I don't have a PlayStation 5, Xbox 3, Xbox One. I have a PlayStation 4. It's sitting right here on my computer desk, and I haven't even turned it on in probably 6 months. And I got like older games I want to play just to get through, but I just don't have the time. With kids, it's tough because like I'll be sitting here in my office and, I get a knock on the door. It's one of my kids. And I'm the type, I'm the type where my kid, and this is something I take dearly. It's something when I take with content creation. I always say if something's going to step in the way of me being able to enjoy my time with my family, I'll drop it like a bad habit. So anytime my kids say, hey dad, let's, can we do something? Can we play a game? Can you play Barbies with me or whatever? I do my best to say, all right, let's go. Right. And it's just because like time is so precious. I don't know how much longer I will have that time with my kids. I always say that, right? And I don't say that just because I'm just a Debbie Downer, right? I say that honestly because tomorrow could not be here. And in the line of work that I do, like I know I work with kids who don't have, families, right? Who don't have a parental role figure in their life. And it's like, I don't want my kids to be like, oh, dad had this opportunity and he just chose to do this, his own thing. No, I put this aside.
And
so that's me.
And again, this is more, this is great. We're starting a conversation, different angle here, but genuinely, I think about this a lot too. As a new parent is that, I value my like alone time so much.
Correct.
I think I have for we're 30s, we had our kid at 32. So it's like, I've had a lot of adulting and I've been able to do whatever the heck I want every day for a lot of time. And I think, it's a change in mindset now of, spending time with my family, spending time with my baby is me time.
Yes.
And that's a huge shift. So that's interesting. So when I do get a little 15, 20 minutes where she takes a nap, I agree to go back to the board games. I like these quick games because I can set it up, play really fast, I love that. The only other thing I was going to talk about before we give some real highlights is this is a trend. A lot of games, and I think to a point where I agree some solo modes are definitely tacked on, and there's some games where it's like, you don't need to force it. Like you don't, and I think this is coming from the publishers more than the designers, to be honest. From what I've heard is that the publishers are saying like, we want to have the Stonemaier games ideal is 1 to 5, and sometimes that's crazy because you're like, how in the world are you going to make a trick-taking game have a solo mode? But then you've got Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. You've got Origin Story. You've got a solo-only trick-taker called For Northwood. So, like, these games can do it, and it's awesome to see how designers get around that. But it is such a trend. I don't know where I saw this stat, so you can fact-check me here. It was on YouTube. Someone on YouTube was talking about solo games. They said 52% of the top 200 board games on Board Game Geek have a solo mode or are solo accessible.
Yeah, I think that's a crazy statistic to even think about.
That's crazy. Like, and that's so that's a big thing. It's very trendy. We'll talk about some of our favorites here in a second. I have the other thing that I think we're maybe missing too when you think about solo games is there is community for this. You know, I have seen, you know, r/solo board gaming, or my favorite is the One Player Guild. I want to give this a highlight. I think we've talked about it on a previous episode, but the One Player Guild over on Board Game Geek, they do a completely like people's choice vote every single year of the best board games of the previous year that play solo. And so like this year, I think, they did the deadline not too long ago. And then they do a video. So they have a top 200, you know, people's choice one. So last year, the number one game that made it was Spirit Island for solo, and then Mage Knight, and then Marvel Champions, which was the game that got me into solo board games. So I'll talk about that in a second. So there's a community in that way, and there's lots of channels dedicated to this. I have to shout out my board game bestie over there in the Netherlands, Crimson Board Games. Like, she does so many solo playthroughs on YouTube. So does Jen Plays Solo. So do some big channels that are on Board Game Geek does this. Like, there's also just watching someone play a solo board game is very relaxing and cozy. You know, people really enjoy that as well. So there, even though it is a solo activity, people can find community in those who do playthroughs, in the forums, in the Reddit. Like, what's your high score? Like, how did you beat that villain or whatever?
Yeah.
The Marvel Champions, for example. Okay, let's talk about some games here. So is there one you wanna highlight right away, especially like a quick one that kind of, you talked about Three Sisters. Is there any other board game you'd like to highlight?
The one game that I played a lot when it came out, and I played a lot of it solo, it was Turing Machine. You know, Turing Machine.
That's a great one, and it's like a daily puzzle, right?
They have a daily puzzle that you can put together. You know, it's collecting these cards from the box and putting them together, and you're trying to figure out this puzzle. Like, if people who like Sudoku, crosswords, things like that they do on a daily, I think Turing Machine is that type of game that you can just bust out really quick in the morning and just, hey, let's try and do this daily puzzle. But it's also a great...
Can you give it like a quick one sentence, like how it works? Because I've always been curious about it. I actually don't really know how the puzzle works for Turing Machine.
So it's been a while. I'm going to be 100% honest that it's been a while since I've played Turing Machine. Again, I don't play solo, and this is the only game that I've played solo. So pretty much there's a deck of cards, right? And they're little square-shaped cards, and they're numbered. There's blue, yellow, and purple, and they're numbered like 1 through 5. And you're pretty much going to go into the book, and you're going to select a puzzle for that specific round, and you're going to be taking those numbers and slotting. And I'm sorry, there's a question like an answer board kind of deal.
Sure, and like a rubric type thing. Yeah.
So you're going to get these cards, and you're going to display them out around this. I think it's like an octagon shaped board or hexagon shaped board. In the center, it's like the computer, right? And it's like A through A, B, C, D, E, or A, B, C, D, E, F, something like that. And you're going to be placing a specific card at these different spots on there. And you're going to you have your little screen in your board, and pretty much you're just going to be looking at these cards, and it's going to be like, is the number odd or even? Is the red number, the blue number, which is like the triangle shape, is it going to be an even number? So you're slotting these cards into this machine to figure out if you get a check.
It's like logic,
like an X. It's like logic and deduction. Yeah. So whether it's going to be an X or it's going to be a green check mark. When you have your green check mark, you're pretty much going to slot that onto your board, and you're like, okay, and you're trying to figure out what that the final 3-digit number is to solve the puzzle. And you're pretty much asking questions to this machine. It's super interesting. It's a huge, it's a logic and deduction puzzle. It takes up table space, right? Not too much.
Yeah.
If you have a coffee table, it's perfect. I do really enjoy this game. I've got to get it to the table. It's one that I have not played, and I'm going to be honest, probably about a year. It was one. It's the reason I haven't played it in a year too is because it's sitting in my desk at work, because at the time when work was a little bit, a little bit slower, I would pull this out when I get to the office. I would open up my emails, I would go through my emails, and then I would pull this out really quickly for when I would have a 15-minute break in the morning.
Nice.
And I would just try and do the daily puzzle. And that's how I did it. So now it's sitting in my desk, and I have to, I know I don't have no time right now with work. So I got to bring it home. So I could probably do it before heading into the office, or like when I come
that'd be a
back.
good way to wake up. Yeah,
wake up, or even
do
when,
it that way,
for me, something to wind down after a long day. And just kind of like a little bit of a de-stressor. But yeah, it's one that I just enjoy heavily. I know it was a huge buzz when it first came out. This is very difficult to get a hold of.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it at a shop or online in a while. Yeah. I love the idea of the daily ones, and I do think, I do want to shout out all I was a Wordle guy. When Wordle was big and free, I'd play it every single day, and we'd share our things with our friends. We did a bunch of those. There's like a Costco one called Costcodle. I do recommend you guess what something costs. But the one, this is not sponsored. I don't know anything about the app or who made it, but I do want to shout out MapTap. And this is maptap.gg. You get 5 locations every day all across the globe, like a city or something in the world, and you have to click as close as you can. You get a score out of 5, like a Wordle. And I have sent, me and the dads, our group chat, we all send our answers in every day, and now I've spread it out to a lot of my board game friends too. Me and you should do it every day too. I already have to send it to too many people, but Colin and Alba send me their answers every day. Iris does over Crimson Board Games, so I think it's very board game adjacent. But recently, I was going to cover this as en La Mesa, but I think it'd be great to just bring it up here. There's these books that I have. I have 2 of them, and the one that I've been playing the most is called Murdoku. And I've been seeing this trend. I think we were talking about it on Instagram, we were. You and I, actually. I got influenced. I got to be honest. I saw all my friends, all the cozy gamers, self-proclaimed cozy gamers out there have been posting it a lot, right? And I did buy it on Amazon. It's like $15. And the reason I bought it is one of my neighbors, our neighbor friends, who's about our age. We went over there for 4th of July, and I saw it on her computer desk. And she's like a non-gamer. She's like, I'm playing this every day. I'm like, okay, once a non-gamer had given it their cosign, I'm like, and I was like, how did you even find out about it? And she's like, TikTok. So it's very trendy right now. But Murdoku is exactly what you think. It's like a Sudoku style puzzle book. But then there's these murder mystery is what you're trying to find out where the victim is. And I love it so much, all the different characters they have names A, B, C, D. So it's like Alice, Beatrice, Charles, Dexter, they always have to start with those letters. And so you're just putting it has a specific rule on where Alice could be. Alice was sitting in a chair. So I'm like, okay, Alice is in one of these spots. Once I, isolate where someone is, you cross out everything in that row. There can't be another character in that row. There can't be another character in that column. That's the typical Sudoku rules. But then you just isolate it down until you find where the victim is, which is always denoted by a V. So it's like Vincent or whatever got murdered. And you find out which room were they in. So they kind of section it out into these rooms. I played this every single morning at the coast this past weekend. And it is so good with coffee, and I love it. So that is my new go-to. I'm sure it's very trendy, but this is the type of thing where it's I think people have been doing this for a long time. These solitaire-only games that are books. People have been doing that forever with the Sudokus, with crosswords, with their coffee. They've been doing it in the newspaper. You did the jumble or whatever. And I think that's a great way to engage your brain without scrolling first thing in the morning. The other book that our buddy Ruel loves, and I have played a lot too, is Dr. Finn's Book of Solo Strategy and Word Games. And that comes with 8 games, and each game has 8 copies. I think, 8 copies of each of the games, so you just can play them on there. A lot of them require a couple dice, so it's a pencil and dice game. Some of them are word games, some of them are number related, and they're great. It's so awesome to just say, hey, I created 8 solo games. I'm putting them in a book. Here you go. Enjoy it. And what's really cool is you could photocopy it. Just keep photocopying it, or you could make one and laminate it, and then you can just play it infinitely. And so I've taken that one on a plane, and I really enjoyed playing that on a plane with dice. And so I really like the first one in it, which is called Cosmic Run. So that's a really fun one. which is a dice game. So yeah, I love those books. I love the idea of playing something daily, and I think a lot of us got into that trend. With the Wordle, Turing Machine. I'm pretty sure Turing Machine, like on their website, there's like a new puzzle like every day, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And Sagrada does something like that, and I love Sagrada's daily puzzles. So those are really cool. Is there a so you said Three Sisters was your like kind of your spark game in the world of bird watching? We call it a spark bird. The thing that like really kind of got you into bird watching is your spark bird, kind of like a gateway game.
Yeah.
What would be your spark solo game? What would you say it was? Three Sisters?
Yeah, I would probably say it was Three Sisters. Like I tried others before that, but Three Sisters was that one game that I was like, oh, I could see myself doing this more. But for some reason, I don't. It's just one of those things that it's not always coming to my mind, but it's one of those things when I'm sitting down, like I'm itching to play a game and like nobody around me is interested in playing a game.
Yes.
I will, I'll find my way out of the room or, and I'll go grab something and I'll go legitimately, I'll set it up and I'll play it. Sometimes I am hoping that other people be like, hey, you're playing, I'll play a game. I'm in the mood to play a game too.
Yeah. Maybe if you're playing, maybe you'll entice people, put a players wanted cone up like at the convention. Players wanted, I'm playing solo. Yeah.
Listen, listen, I'm surprised that works more than you believe. I'm probably outing my buddy, and I think he's going to be okay with me outing him here.
Yeah.
But my buddy Dave has been working on designing a game, and you probably if you're on Facebook or whatnot, you probably see him posting about it. But he's found himself like he travels for work sometimes. Like he's been at the airport, and he will. Oh, nice. He's asking one time he was asking a guy next to him, hey, do you want to play this like card game? So he busts out a card game. They played a couple hands, and I forget where he was, if he was at a store or a shop or something, or if he was at the airport waiting for he legit set up his prototype game.
Wow.
And he put a sign that says if you want to learn this game, because he's constantly play testing it himself and he's trying to figure this out. But he will frequently reach out to people if he's going traveling somewhere. Hey, if you're just in the community, I'd like to teach you this game. But my buddy Dave is really good at like playing a game solo or two-handing a game. Like he does it, especially, he's like the pro at it, and like and it helps him not only in his play testing, but it also is just something that he naturally does. But he has that he's looking to play all the time. But I think like you and I, gamers, we're always looking to play. Like there's always something in my brain. But
let me do it.
But for me, it's one of those things like I carry a bag. It's a red little knapsack. It always has games.
Like a cinch bag kind of?
It's a cinch bag,
yes.
I have the little smaller, the big board game backpacks. I have the smaller version that the sling bag of it. Nice. I used to bring that, but it was just too big. It was more, he brought games. So I normally just bring this cinch bag with me, right? And it's maybe it has some personal items of his or whatever in there, so people don't think about it, right? So I normally bring it with me wherever I go. And if I'm going somewhere where I'm no one's going to really ask to play a game, I just keep it in the car. And then if someone, if I'm just bored or something, I kind of want to be out of there, I go to the car. And listen, my wife's going to listen to this and she's going to be like, oh, so that's what you're doing when you do. So, but I will go to the car and I'll just bring in a rule book and I'll read a rule book. To me, sometimes that's my solo game. I'll read a rule book.
That's great. I love that too. Read a rule book. It's just, I love this. I couple things to respond to that. That's great. Number one, the players wanted sign. I have to say, I thought about this since our last episode. That was a huge takeaway from me from Origins. Was someone was playing Everdell Farshore and they had a sign up and I sat down and played with them, which is great. David, who's Neon Grill, and we put up a sign. And we got a couple people to come play multiple games. That's how we got people to play Neko Syndicate with us. And we played the Networks, which I really loved. I might cover that later. It was a really cool game. I did not expect to like it as much as I did. So I think if you're not using players wanted signs at convention, my hot take was you're not actually there. You might as well just go play with your friends at a house. You might as well do a dad weekend. It's why go to a convention if you're not going to interact with the people that are there? That's my hot take there.
Okay.
Okay. My other thing though was, I want to shout out my buddy Colin Warner, and I feel like I shout him out all the time here. He's off the Instagram now. I think this is why he plays so many solo games, because he's like unplugged and zen now. This guy, he's very inspiring. I admire how much he plays solo board games to a point where it's like it literally makes me like be every time he sends a screenshot and he takes these awesome top down pictures. We have the same iPhone, and my pictures come out like garbage, and his pictures look like immaculate. It's like the Tim Chewin effect, you know. But the other day he texted Alba and I. And he had set up a game, Zhang Guo. He loves the big, heavy Euros, and he plays them like solo, like at least 3 or 4 times a week. It blows my mind, maybe 5 times a week. He started a game at like midnight, didn't finish it, got up in the morning before work and finished it. I was like, dude is an actual factual gamer. And the solo, and he's playing these games that I'm like, I have some of these games in my collection and they have great solo modes. Like Arc Nova is one of the simplest solo modes ever. It is like literally you just move a turn tracker kind of. You just get to kind of take your turns, which I really like. We should talk about the differences of those. And yet I don't play them nearly as much as he does. So that just shout out to Co Warner. He is my solo gamer inspiration for sure. So that's big. Okay, you said a couple Spark games. I want to talk about my Spark game here, and I it's actually a little story time. I might have already talked about this, but whatever. You guys, you listeners, you're real. The dearest gentle listeners, the GGLs are here for this. I went to one of my local game shops right near where I work. It's called Gong Guy. It's in Beaverton. It's really small. And this is circa 2021. I've been in the hobby maybe a year. I've never considered a solo game. And I started seeing people post about them, and I was kind of getting intrigued. And I was like, you know what? I want to buy a big game that has a solo mode. And I'm so grateful this guy who was working at the shop, he was like, he has a 13-year-old daughter, and he's like, my daughter and I have been playing a ton of Marvel Champions. He's like, are you a Marvel fan? I'm like, I was like, is the Pope Catholic? I was like, is the Pope American? I was like, please, of course, I love Marvel. I'm like, so, and he's like, all these characters have their own dedicated decks. You build decks like Magic the Gathering. You know, there's 4 aspects, and then there's the Deadpool aspect, so there's really 5. You know, there's the 4 colors, and you can only build your deck with the 15 cards that come with Captain America, for example, and the different colors. The base box of Marvel Champions, which I just love so much, comes with 5 heroes and 3 villains. And so this falls in the category of, really, it's a cooperative game that has a solo mode. It's really best played at 1 or 2, in my humble opinion. I've recently been playing it 2-handed for the very first time. I really like to play true solo, but there's some characters where there's some villains that you play against where it's like you need 2 different aspects. You need somebody who can defend, and you need somebody who can thwart the main scheme and take care of that. And the villain has kind of a sequence that it's going to do every turn based on what you are. So the villain will attack you if you're in hero mode. And the villain will add scheme to or thwart to the main scheme. I can't remember what it's called. Oh my gosh. Threat. Jeez Louise. It'll add threat to the main scheme if you're in alter ego form. So it's this really cool balance for the players, knowing how the villain is going to react based on what you're doing. So if you're like, I can't take any more damage, I need to flip down to alter ego form before this next villain phase. We take all the player phases, and then the villain, like you kind of do what the villain does, almost like an Automa. And the villain will attack you, and the villain will have things come out of its deck that kind of surprise you, and you need to prepare yourself to set your deck up and set yourself up in a way that helps prepare you. It's a great game because you do not have to do any deck construction. You can play with the pre-constructed decks that come in the box, and you're going to have a good time. But if you want to really experience the game, in my opinion, if you enjoy this, I should say, you know, building decks and finding synergies with now the thousands and thousands of cards that have come out is so amazing. And so the games like this where the Automa, quote unquote, is something you literally have to defeat. To win the game, you have to defeat the villain. And if the villain achieves something or kills you before you do that, you lose. And I love that kind of solo, and it has stuck. I was realizing it was about July of 2021. So it's been 5 years that I've been playing this game, and I've been buying it a la carte. I'm really excited for the Daredevil box that's going to come. But this is the first game where I was like, oh, solo games can be challenging. Like, oh, yeah. I've lost. You know, Rhino was just kicking my butt for so long. And just to have a theme that I love and to be able to show it to people, and I can just hand them a deck. I just handed my buddy Scarlet Witch recently. We played Cyclops and Scarlet Witch versus the Sentinels, and I built my deck perfectly to be cooperative, the Cyclops guy, and it just was so awesome. So that is the big side of the games where you're playing against this. There's another version here that I think you've probably played these, and these are the games I call where the game itself, when you're playing multiplayer, is basically there's no interaction to the point where playing it solo is exactly the same experience as playing it multiplayer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had those games. And so my biggest one is like a flip and right example. There's a lot of these, and my personal favorite I've talked about many times is Next Station London. Okay. And so have you played a game like this where you're like, or is there any you can think of where it's like, it doesn't matter if you're playing with people or not because the game doesn't have interaction. So it's like, I might as well play solo. Is there anything you think? If not, it's totally
the
fine,
game that I think of that recently I've been playing that I play solo is Moon Colony Bloodbath. It's the same exact game playing it, single player or it is playing multiplayer. The only difference is multiplayer, the other people are adding cards into the deck as well. That's really it. That's true. The only additional thing, right?
The only difference is that you add the loneliness card.
Yeah. Exactly.
Really
and the loneliness card. But it is it's one that I do enjoy. And I think, I don't know if we briefly talked about it, but I played it with my game group, and my one buddy's like, I don't want to play this ever again. Like, I think it's just because the brutalness of it, like, he's like, oh, I'm trying to do something. Bad. And then it just made it feel like, it's like, I did all of this for nothing.
Yeah, it got destroyed. Yeah.
But again, not every game is for everyone.
Of course.
But so I find myself like, I'm probably going to be soloing that a lot.
Yeah.
But I haven't taught my wife that game. Me and her were big fans of playing Dominion a lot.
Yeah.
So like her understanding that, like, hey, this is the same designer as Dominion. It kind of has the same elements as Dominion, but just kind of the other way around. More of the deck deconstruction, I guess.
Shared deck. It's like
building.
Shared deck building, but then also the tableau building or engine building and engine destroying, which is very unique. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of for me. I would think is the Moon Colony Bloodbath that kind of hits that same realm. I did try a bunch of other like the flip and rights. I would play them like two-handed as well, like just to kind of say, what's the Welcome To? I would do that.
Yeah, Welcome To is great. Yep.
I would do that one two-handed. I'm not sure if that one had a solo mode, but I remember that doesn't.
Yeah,
it does have the solo mode. Yeah, because
it's like 1 to 100 players.
Yes, because you're pretty much just trying to maximize your score. That's one. If I remember correctly, that's one during the pandemic that I would play solo.
Awesome.
Cartographers as well is another one.
Cartographer was great.
Yep. And so those are pretty much flip and rights were just easy to play solo.
Yep. Those are games too where it's like you're racing. The only interaction with those is you are racing for a public objective.
Correct.
And so I love this. So it's like I can understand like the maybe the reason why you'd want to only play the multiplayer. Whereas like Next Station London, it's like it is just going for your high score, and you flip the card and you just are doing the puzzle. And I think for me, it's a very comforting puzzle. I like to play a game when it's a Tuesday night. You know this better than me, even stressed out at work, a lot going on. You get home, baby's down. It's like, I've got 30 minutes of brain power. Let me play a game that I already know, that I'm comfortable with, that's cozy, quote unquote. I know people have a problem with that word for whatever reason. I do think that is what I want sometimes, is I just want to do a puzzle. I want to do something that's not scrolling on my phone, but a game that I really like, and go for my high score. It's not my ideal situation. I think defeating someone is my number one style. Then I'd say an Automa is my second favorite. And that's because some Automas can get a little too complex, So the one I wanted to highlight really, which is really a crazy one, is Dune Imperium Uprising. That's a big, heavy game.
Yeah.
And you can play against the rival. You play against the rival, and you manage that Automa, and that Automa is going to have a score. But like you've said multiple times, I think scratching that itch is the best word for it, because just sometimes like I just want to play a heavy board game and Allie is just tired and she doesn't want to. It's not game night. I don't want to play a video game. And so I just sit down and I'll set up a game like Dune Imperium Uprising, and I've played against the rival and I have to beat him. I have to beat his score, and he does. And again, obviously it's kind of random how it works, but I do think those Automas have gotten better. Wingspan is amazing. I think the Castles of Burgundy one is called Shatoma. That one is really good, really simple. But Dune Imperium Uprising is my big example of like a heavy game that you can play against a rival and really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then finally, what you got?
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, when you brought up the heavy stuff, like that's how I learned. I learned SETI, the search for extraterrestrial life. Is I played it solo. I sat down, I was like, I'm gonna play this two-handed, and I said, you know what? Yeah. It has a dedicated solo. Let me try.
Oh yeah, what do you think of it?
Let me try the solo. I played it. Listen, I sat down at 9:00 in the evening to learn this game because I was going to be playing it the following day with my game group. So I wanted to. I had like I remember if I demoed it, or I remember I started playing a game previously before I was at a convention, but I didn't get a chance to finish it. So I was like, I want to learn this. Sat down. I was like, I'm going to do the dedicated solo. And again, it says the Automa deck. It pretty much flips over, and dependent on the board state, board state.
Great podcast.
Yeah. We're going to see whether or not you do, obviously, like the top prompt or then the second prompt. So you pretty much are going through the card and seeing which you do based on the current board state. And then that takes the Automa's turn. And then pretty much all it is just taking spots on the board so that you can't do this action, or it's taking certain resources or XYZ. And man, I played 3 games in a row. 3 games in a row.
You did tell me this at some point. I was like, you, the non-solo gamer, did it?
3 games in a row. I played the first one.
Did you just say it? Did you beat a score, or what is it? You're supposed to...
You're pretty much just trying to get like the highest possible score.
Highest score. Okay, cool.
And man, I was looking forward to my game group the following day to be able to play the game with them, because I was like, I want to see how good I can get to this, because my scores was like in the mid 200s or something. I was like, there's no way I'm going to score this against my buddies. And I did well. I think I won, but yeah, it's just one of those that like it just made me enjoy the game more. But not every game does that. Again, maybe I don't know if it was Steam. I don't know of how it was. Again, this is a very heavy Euro game that, like, when you're playing with a group, you got to dedicate 3 hours to like learn and play this game. And this one, I played it probably in I want to say an hour. The first time was like an hour and 15 minutes. And then I was able to cut it down a lot after playing, but 3 games in a row, I was like 1:00 in the morning, 1:30, I'm getting into bed. And my wife was like, are you just getting into bed? I was just getting some water,
I had
honey.
to pee.
I was just getting some, had to pee. Yep.
Okay, that is a huge factor, that like time playing solo, reducing player count. It's why a lot of people, like with heavy Euros, the ideal player count is 3. Once you get to 4, for whatever reason, that adds 45 minutes to the game. And the thing about playing heavy games solo is when you're by yourself, you do not have to worry. I feel so pressured to take a turn quickly. I do. And I don't want to make people
I can
wait.
see that. I can see that.
I get very upset when people take too long. I do. I am one of those people where it's like, you're not being respectful of our time. You are taking way too much time to sit here and math it all out. It's not that serious. We're not here to win the game. We're here to have fun. If you are spending literally 10 minutes thinking of all the possible options, I will get upset. But when you're playing it solo, you can just you can literally go through everything. You're not, and nobody's waiting on you, and you don't have that social pressure. And I think that's good. But also, it makes the game go faster because you're not waiting on multiple people doing that. So that's a great example. I do think tableau building games like that also really benefit from solo play as well. When you have a bunch of cards and a bunch of tags, you can take your time and read it also. Wow, that's a great one. I'll only mention one more. I had a couple others. I like Cascadia. I've been even playing the app. I think Cascadia has a really cool puzzle. It's very cozy, but it also has this awesome back of the book with all these scenarios where it's like, hey, set the game up this way and try to beat this score. And it's got like 50 of those. And it completely made me love the game even more. I love it competitive, 2 or 3 players, but I think a game like Cascadia, because it really is a solitaire puzzle, it is my preferred way to play that one. So I just want to shout that out. But the one I want to highlight really quick is Fantastic Factories.
Oh,
this is a game that I've talked about many times. You like this game, right?
I do. I got rid of it, and I am so upset because every time you bring it up, I'm like, that was such a good game.
It's so cool. And I played it 5 players, by the way, because it's simultaneous. We played it 5 players in like an hour, and it blew my mind at my game night, which with 2 people learning it for the first time and with the expansion Manufactions, which is goated. But how the solo mode works, I play it more solo than anything. How the solo mode works is there are 5 colors of dice, and there are 5 different colors of cards that match those dice. Just happened to be that way. I don't know if he did that intentionally or not, but shout out to Joseph Chen. He's great. I've played games with him. He's a great guy. I love him. And his son is awesome too. His son's like 11 years old and is a gamer, dude. But you roll the 5 dice, and based on the colors of the dice, that's what the machine does. I almost put this in the state of mind, but I didn't want to do it because I knew I was gonna bring it up. It's called the machine, and the machine, based on what number the purple dice does, you compare that to how many purple cards the machine has been building in their tableau, and that's what happens. And it's so simple. You just roll 5 dice, compare them to the 5 rows, and see what happens, and then you take your turn. So it is one of my favorite solo modes. So the reason I wanted to bring that one up is just it's a unique one, and it's underrated. So if you have not played it solo, definitely try that one out.
I agree. I did play that one solo. That's how I think I learned that game, or I played it second time. I was like, I want to play this, try this solo, and yeah, it was good. I think I played it once, but yeah, I don't know why I got rid of that. I think it was I think I got rid of it in a trade for something that I really wanted. But
totally, I get that.
I enjoy Vantage. Vantage I acquired specifically
great
to play solo, like I said, because you're exploring, and I just wanted it to the idea of like just choosing your own adventure, idea, and like kind of figure out where I'm going to go here and explore. Just thinks me of like the video games that the Zelda games is just exploring. But when I think of those choose your own adventures, I think of like Van Ryder Games has those graphic novel adventures, the books.
Yeah, I've seen
it's
those.
Almost like a choose your own adventure book. Like I have 1 or 2 of them. I know I have the one is like the vampire. I'm not aware, the werewolf one called Loop Guru. That's the first one that I had tried out, and I got another one called, I haven't played it. I think it's called Your Town or Our Town or something like that. But it's pretty much like a choose your own adventure book. You just pretty much read through it. It's like a graphic novel, and then it has you do certain things, and you're pretty much building your character. You have a little sheet, and then you roll some dice, and you just do what it says, and you go to this page, and you continue reading the story, and it's something that's really cool. I think it's something would be great for kids who are getting into reading. My daughter's going into the 2nd grade, and she's an avid reader. And this is something that I would look into. They have like a younger kids line, I think, of graphic novels. I can see her enjoying something like this. I probably got to myself look into it for her, because I know I've enjoyed it myself, that I'd want to check out as well.
Love it. That's great. I think all those are great. I think, so to close out on this main topic, I think the overall arching thing about solo gaming is, like, obviously if it's not for you, it's not for you.
Correct.
But the reasons we definitely do it is, to kind of detox from our screens, to scratch that itch of just playing a board game, and also to just like kind of wind down after a long day. It is a nice thing to do with a puzzle. So there's community, there's lots of different variety, and every single year I think more and more solo gaming games are coming out. So definitely go check out the One Player Guild. I can't get over it. I think that would be the first place I would go if I were looking at like what are the games that the people are loving. A lot of these are heavy games, but some of them are not as well. So that's what we'll talk about. Do you want to start with your En La Mesa? That wraps the solo games. I think Jazz got 2 games for us here, so I want you to go for it. Start with whichever one you like.
Yeah, 2 pretty much small box games. I've been playing a lot of these lately. I haven't had much time to get to my regular game night. You and I have discussed that, so I haven't gotten a chance to like play a lot of my heavy Euro games that are still waiting to be played. But I've been playing a lot of small box games with my family when I've had time. And my daughter's been, obviously now we're in the summer, she's been always, Dad, let's play a game, let's do this. And so I pretty much just take her to games that I have sections of games that I haven't played or want to play. And we picked out Panda, which is a small, it's part of AllPlay's Tiny Box line.
Tiny Box, right? Yeah.
Yes. So this is one that I picked up myself. I think it was at a convention or sometimes they're online deals. It's like buy 3 for a good price. Was originally came out as like cat poker, I think, in Japan, but my daughter loves pandas. It's her favorite animal. But this one is a card management style game where pretty much on your turn you're pretty much drawing. I think it's you play a card out and you pretty much do what it does. You draw a card, you play a card, kind of deal. And the cards are numbered or lettered A through G, and the dispersion of the cards is different. Like there's only one G in the entire deck.
Oh, interesting.
And then a set number of Fs, set number of Es, and everybody gets a player aid, and that player aid tells you what cards you need to have in your hand at the start of your turn to win the game. So like, for example, I'm looking at the player aid now. It says like, if you have 2 cards in your hand and they are either the C and the E, the B and the F, or the D and the G, you win the game. If you have 7 cards in your hand and they're of these 2 card combinations, the A through the G of every single letter, or it's like 4 A's and 3 B's, you win the game. So pretty much you are playing a card, doing what it does. Like, so pretty much discarding a card in front of you, or, you know, playing a card. Like if you play the A, it means that you have to pass a card to your opponent, and you're getting, so you pass a card out of your hand, you get another card from your opponent, and you're just trying to find ways to get a hand that manages to eventually win the game. It's so simplistic. This may not be for everyone, but something that my daughter is getting to that age now where she's mentally grasping strategy, and like it's getting, and for her it's getting more deeper rooted in her strategy. Like that's why I said she's an avid reader. She loves reading, and this summer we've been working on a lot of games that inquire that reading, a lot of games that inquire that math and these logic thinking skills. And this is something that Dad, I want to play this. So she's going to like her grandparents' house. She's like, Mimi pop up, Mima peep up. Like I want to teach you this game. Like she's going there wanting to teach the game. And like my wife and I are just enjoying it because she doesn't realize she's learning in the process, right?
Yeah.
She's learning these deduction
skills. You got to hide it.
Yeah.
You got to hide the learning.
Exactly.
You know, that's how board games work.
But yeah, she enjoyed it. And to hear her sit down and like trying to teach her grandfather this game, like, no, pop up, this is what you got to do. Like on your turn, you got to do this, or no, pop up, you can't do that because. But yes, I think it's like a 6+ or 7+.
It's great
on this one. It's a great little quick card game. The other one is a game that I got as a review copy. Mountain Goats. It's one that.
Oh, real quick, I want to step in on. I've never played it. It just looks really cute. I just have to shout out. It is the same designer and artist combo as Nana.
Correct.
Which I did not know. And that is like Sai Beppu, love Sai Beppu art, and I was like, Kaya Miyano, why do I know that? So that is awesome. And I'll just say, the art, I can totally see why it used to be called cat poker. It feels like you're making like a poker hand in your hand. So that's cute. That's really great.
And the other one, if you're looking for one that's a little bit more gamery and you're like, oh, that just seems too light, I would go with Llama, which is dog poker.
Same designer, right?
Same designer, same combo. It's dog poker. Same premise. You're pretty much trying to build a hand of cards, and based off of the hand of cards you have, they're going to score differently. So there's like scoring objectives set in the center of the table, and it's so easy to talk about, but there's different scoring objectives, and based off of your cards in your hand, you're going to score. It's like a step above Panda, and I think it's good one as well. But we've been playing a lot of both of this, but primarily Panda because my daughter loves pandas.
Awesome.
The second game on the list, Mountain Goats, was a review copy that was given to me at one of the conventions from AllPlay. And Mountain Goats is people are probably familiar with Can't Stop, you know, where you're going up the little mountain pretty much to score points. But this is kind of has that same premise, and everyone's going to have a set number of, you know, goats, and they're going to be, there's columns, and the columns are numbered from 5 through 10. Okay. And there's a set number of cards to climb the mountain to get to the top of the mountain for them 5. And then for the 10, there's only like 2 cards. It's like the one number 10 card and then the top of the mountain. And pretty much on your turn, you put one of your goats at the bottom of each of these mountains, and you're just rolling your dice, and you're creating combinations with your die to climb this mountain. So let's say I think you're rolling 4 dice in this one, right? And let's say I roll a 2 and a 3, I roll a 5 on another one and I roll a 6 on the other one, right? And I can create that combination however I want. I can have the 2 and the 3 be a 5, use the 5 by itself, and then use a 6 by itself, and I can climb twice up with my goat on the mountain 5, and once up on the 6, and kind of play it out that way. How it goes, once you get to the top of the mountain, you collect a point token, right? And that token comes to you, and you're going to score points. And then there's a set number of tokens at the top of each of these mountains. So you're trying to get up there as fast as you can. Once you're at the top of the mountain, that's great, because if you get another 5, easy. I'm just going to get another point token. But the moment an opponent comes up, it knocks your to the top of the mountain. It knocks your goat to the bottom of the mountain.
Yes.
There are also these, I guess they're called bonus tiles. And how it works is once you gain 1 point token of each number, so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you get the bonus tile. And the bonus tiles are the first person to get a bonus tile is going to get the one that is worth the most amount of points. And then they lessen as you go through. The game ends once 3 of the mountains are cleared of their point tokens, or once all of the bonus tiles are taken. You just pretty much, players count up all of their point tokens, and whoever has the most points wins. My daughter loves this game. I have not beaten my daughter in this game.
That's crazy.
I have not.
It's cool because there's luck, obviously, because you're rolling.
It is
4
a luck
dice,
of the draw. Yes.
But you have to decide. Like, it's almost Castles of Burgundy, like, or even Can't Stop, where you got to combine. Like, even that example you gave, a 2, a 3, a 5, and a 6. You could do 5 and 5 and 6. You could do 10 and 6. You could do 8 and 8 by combining those.
So many different ways, and it's like exactly there. There is the luck of the draw on your die, but again, it's how you combo these. Like, it's like, are you going to try and win going for the bonus point tokens and getting those really fast and getting 1 of each? Or are you just going to spam the 5 once you're up there, right? Because it's a longer trip for someone else to get up there. Or are you just going to go, hey, I'm going to get all the 10s first. So I've tried so many different combinations of trying to beat my daughter. I played my daughter in this 3 times, but I've played the game multiple times. I believe it's on Board Game Arena as well. I've played it multiple times.
I was going to say it's on Board Game Arena, and we need to play together.
And it's just a fun game. It's silly. It lasts maybe 10, 15 minutes at most. And we have a blast with this one. So my wife has never played this. It's always been me on Board Game Arena with people. I've played this at conventions. And it's an awesome small box game. And listen, I don't know if I can say this enough. People, I know my wife doesn't have the brain power when she comes home from work to like want to play a board game. She just wants to decompress, and I understand that. So what I've done is I'm raising kids to play board games with me, right?
It's the whole point. That's why we have our player 3 and 4.
And I know some parents, and I'm afraid of this, right? I know some parents say when my kid gets to like pre-teenage years, they have no interest. I've already had the discussion with my daughter. I'm like, listen, there are going to be kids that are going to be mean. They're going to say you're a nerd or you're dorky because you do X, Y, Z. Don't let that influence you. So I'm trying to train her mind right now so that when she becomes a teen, she's okay with still playing with me. So, we play these games together.
Gosh, I've had this thought. I've already thought about this so much. And Allie's like, she's 5 months old. Like, you don't need to think about this yet. But I'm like, I hope part of me, it's funny you just said that though. And this is so lame of me to say on a board game podcast. But part of me hopes that she does have a time where she's like, this is lame, Dad. That's your lame thing. And then she'll come back around. I'm thinking she'll turn, like, she'll go off to college. She'll come home one day at like 20 years old and she'll be super into games. There's going to be phases.
It's going to be the story of the prodigal son, man. Like, they go away, they come back, and it's like
prodigal daughter.
Prodigal daughter. But it's great. I got to ask you one question. Do you have her sitting on your lap when you're playing a game and like have the cards out in front of her?
There's one picture, and I have it in my room here of me playing Ark Nova with my friends, and she was sitting there. This is like her at like 2 months old, and
this is
she
the way.
loves like magic cards. Yeah, so we're getting there. Yeah. We'll see. I'm trying so hard to keep my expectations low. My nieces have really started to take to gaming, and they're like
great.
10 and 7, and I think that's been fun. But okay, I'm going AllPlay as well. Those are great choices. Thank you, Jazz. Talking about Panda and Mountain Goats. Mountain Goats, by the way, I will be featuring on my very next YouTube video, so keep an eye out for that. So good choice. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for you, Jazz. This is Triangulation. This is a review copy. Shout out to Cascadia over at AllPlay. She handed me this at Origins Game Fair, so I've already got it played 3 times since. Triangulation has Peter C. Hayward as the designer and Kwanchai Moria as the artist, and AllPlay as the publisher, like I said. Kwanchai Moria has now jumped up to at least second, if not, he's definitely top 2 of my favorite artists out there. He did the art for a lot of the art for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Unmatched, which was my number 1 answer for our mid-year board game tag 2. I love it so much. So this game is clearly inspired by Decrypto, and Peter C. Hayward would probably say that himself. He's kind of like, I think I talked about this already last episode. He's kind of like a mad genius. Like I think this guy is a mad genius. Like he's kind of a wacky guy. He's got like the bluest hair you've ever seen in your life. Like crazy fashion sense. I think he's like he's got like a cool accent. I don't even want to even say where he's from. I don't want to offend. Dude's awesome. He showed us this negotiation game that is a prototype that he ended up pitching later that day. I won't say which publisher. It was so awesome. I'm not even a negotiation guy. You know that from the Family Feud episode if you listen to it. I'm not a negotiation guy, and it was so fun. He showed me 2 other party games that I'm like, we're going to literally do one of them as a state of mind. I'm just going to steal it later too. So the guy just loves to design games, and I love how his brain works, to be honest. He's kind of crazy. He's wacky out there. But this game is Decrypto inspired. Their pitch from AllPlay is kind of like, if you like the fun parts of Decrypto, but you don't want all the slow parts, just play Triangulation. I'm like, well, that's bold because I love Decrypto. And I think they did do a good job of that. It's got some interesting twists here. What's going to happen is you're going to write down 3 clues on these little like discs or kind of like placards of dry erase, but they can be flipped face down, A, B, and C, for your team to guess a proper noun. So that's, I think, one of the big twists here is there's not just regular words on there. They're all proper nouns. Okay. And it's a 2026 game. So there's some there's like Stranger Things on there. There was like TikTok on I saw a bunch of, I should get the box and look at some of the examples here. There were some really cool cards, to be honest, that were Spider-Man and Batman and Kiss and just all these different like proper nouns. So it had to be like a location. That's true. Jazz, the editor here, is going to skip forward here because I'm going to grab it because I don't want to mess this up here. 1 second. So you didn't even know I stepped away because we're just right here. We're right back here. You, the dearest gentle listeners, just know that nothing happened in your mind here. There's these nice little player shields, and on the inside of the player shield is how the game rounds goes and all the categories. There are 6 categories. There are characters, so they're fictional characters. Media, so this is the name of a movie, a book, a game like Jurassic Park or whatever, right? A living or historical person. There were a lot of those. A location, a brand, and the 6th category is wild card. So it could just be any proper noun. And so some of them I'm like, holy moly, like one of them was Harambe, which I'm like, wow, that's internet. Kool-Aid, Jack Black, Adventure Time, Darth Vader, right? Okay, so let's say Darth Vader was the character, fiction. So I write 3 things down. I'm going to write 3 clues. Really easy, right? You can write whatever you want on it. This is in that word association thing. But then you flip them face down. The other team is going to flip one face up, and they get to make a guess based on a clue first. Then if they get it wrong, they flip a second clue, and the opponent team gets to guess twice. And then the third time it's flipped, it's for the third word comes out, and your team has to get it with all 3 clues, okay? So you have to, it's so hard for the writer, I think, to write 3 clues that they only give it away if you see all 3 clues, because you don't want the other team to be able to guess it off of 1 clue. But knowing that it's proper nouns, people get it so fast. So I have a couple examples that I'm just so proud of my friends who did these here. Shout out to Brittany. She did such a good job with this one here. She wrote down 3 words, and I'm going to see if you can get it. The 3 words were rar, like a growl, like rar, forest, and birdie. Okay? Rar, forest, and birdie. Is there anything any proper noun? I'll tell you, it was a person, living or fiction, living or historical.
You got
RAR. You would not. You couldn't get it if you're looking at it, it's crazy. It was Tiger Woods. Okay. Because you think birdie, you think golf.
I was thinking. Okay. Yeah.
Forest words. What were you thinking?
And do you reveal these cards in a specific order?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you put them all face down. The other team flips one randomly.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, cool. Randomly. So they get to so they saw RAR. That's all they saw, and they're like, I don't know, Jurassic Park. Lion
That's what
King,
I was
whatever.
thinking. I was thinking Jurassic Park right off the top of my bat, like T-Rex.
Then they see forest, and they're like, okay, RAR and forest, and they can't really think of anything. I don't think they said King Kong or something. And then the third one comes out birdie, and we think golf. We're like, and we got it, and it was awesome. Alternatively, my buddy Jake, he did a really good one. He wrote down kangaroo, he wrote down rabbit, and he wrote down tiger. So 3 animals, right? When they had the 3, they saw 2 of them. They're like, oh, aren't those animals that are in the 100 Acre Wood with Winnie the Pooh? And they said Christopher Robin, but the answer was Winnie the Pooh. Thank goodness. So they got it wrong. But once we saw, but like that is how you have to think. There's this really outside of the box. So I will say, I think this is a little obscure for the average gamer. I do think, or the average non-gamer. I'm sorry. I think this is a really good game. Party game for non-gamer or for oh my God, let me re-say that. I think this is a little out there for non-gamers. I think it is a perfect party game for gamers. And the interesting thing about that is I would say the exact same thing about Decrypto. So it fits in the same vein as Decrypto, but it's just got a new, modern, fresh take on it. And I really, really liked it. Shout out to Triangulation. Shout out to Peter C. Hayward. Thank you for the review copy. I really liked it. I'm going to be bringing it to Dad Weekend this coming weekend with the boys. So we're going to see how that goes. Any thoughts on that? Had you heard? Was this on your radar at all?
It was not. I saw the box art. Listen, I always look at AllPlay stuff. Their smaller box line, your tiny box, and then this is their like small box, that square box shape of theirs.
Yes,
I'm always looking at what they come out in those 2 lines. I saw the artwork and I was like, oh, this looks pretty cool. But I didn't dive much into it. I was like, oh, this has got to be another type party style. But when you say Decrypto, you're speaking my alley. But I would agree. I would agree with you specifically with the crypto. The crypto does not always go over well with the non-gamer,
yes, because
they're like the rule set is not overly complex. But how the structure of turns go, I think, becomes confusing to people, right?
Yes.
How you reveal certain things, and I think it's like,
yeah.
And I remember teaching this, like, that's not that hard. Why can't you understand this? But
I know you think that, but
they're just not coming
complex.
but they're just not coming from that gamer mindset, right? So I have to remember that, which is the reason I got rid of the crypto. I gifted it to someone who's a gamer, but I really love it. I think it is like perfection in a box for like word association games. I do. It's one of the best. And triangulation, I can definitely see this being a little bit easier to table, and probably getting some non-gamers too, because again, this is it has that level of just putting these 3 different cards down. But like, I guess when you said randomly flipping over the 1, so randomly flip over 1, they'll get is it a one
guess? You just get one
and then
guess.
They'll get 2 guesses after the second
They
one.
get 2 guesses before your team gets 1 guess. So it's really interesting in that way. Yeah,
it's super interesting. I'm excited. I'm seeing I'm looking at the picture. There's these 4 looks like computer tokens.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Are you trying to gain the first version of 4 computer tokens, or how does that work?
Basically, if you sorry, thank you.
You're good.
Thank you. Because they gave me the like upgrade pack that came with it. So I have their cardboard normally with the game. Mine are metal. There's no reason they needed to be metal.
No need.
But I have to shout it out. If you are a deluxeifier like me, you might want these things. Like not knowing that these existed, I wouldn't care, but knowing that they existed, you have to have them. I'm gonna shill for AllPlay there. This was a good choice because I did the same thing with Decrypto. I actually have acrylic tokens for a Decrypto, which is totally unnecessary, but it helps. So what happens is if you intercept, which is what they call it in Decrypto, if you guess the other opponents, you flip one over. If you get yours correct, you flip one over. So it's the first person to get 4 correct. It doesn't matter if it was your own teams or the opponent's teams.
Interesting. Yeah, this is one I'm interested in.
Yeah, it's cool. So I should give it a little more credit. Like, thinking about it, we were all gamers that played it. It was at my local game club, but I do think this would go over much easier than Decrypto, I think, actually, to be honest. So it's still like one step above Jinxo, for example, one I just talked about, last episode. But I think this time, this one is a great one. So thank you so much, AllPlay. And I really do recommend it as a party game for those who want those ones that really make you think. It's really hard being the clue giver. And if you like that stress, definitely put that out there.
Yeah, that's great. Great game.
All right, we did it. We're a little longer than last week's episode, but would you like to close us out, Mr. Jazz, from our solo gaming episode?
Also, and I will preface this: this episode is in no way sponsored by AllPlay. The games that we brought, we didn't even discuss. Hey, we're going to bring AllPlay. We said these are the games we're going to discuss. Oh, they happen to all be AllPlay games. But big. Well, I guess we'll just give a shout out and say thank you to AllPlay for some of the review copies here that we've got separately, not even knowing this, right?
Not
episode.
Even, yeah. But you bought Panda, right?
I did buy Panda, yes.
Okay, so let's just throw that out there that we'll cover a different publisher next episode. But shout out to AllPlay.
Again, before we close, we always want to give a huge shout out and thanks to our podcast music judge, aka at Dre the producer over on IG, and Kenan at Punchboard Cathedral for our awesome board game logo. And we always say thanks for listening to us talk about the best hobby in the world, board games, because you could be spending your time doing so many other things like work, like I have to do. But you chose to listen to us here on Board States, the podcast, where friends become rivals and the board states decide the outcome. We will catch you on the next one.
Nos vemos.